Hello and welcome. My guest today is perhaps the literal embodiment of the title Beautiful People. He is successful, rich, famous, trendy and powerful. He's begun 2012 on a high and he's come to this show fresh after the much talked about celebrations for his 40th birthday. Please welcome one of the most direct and nicest men that I know in the Hindi film industry, filmmaker Karan Johar. Karan, happy birthday.
Thank you, Anuradha. Thank
You heard
so
all
much.
those adjectives.
Yes.
Young was missing.
Yes, unfortunately. That is something that's RIP youth has happened. It's already, that's when I marked my 40th celebration. I think that's the one thing that I had to let go of.
And you've been priming yourself for it for a bit. So you've been sort of getting ready for this milestone.
Look, I'm not the one really, Anuradha, to believe these myths that surround turning 40. That, 40s are the new 30s and 40s is where life really begins, and 40s, those are all excuses 40-year-olds make. I just have to say that this is the beginning where the teeth do start the minor rattle, the knees do start do the minor shake, and the back starts giving away, and there is a loss of sleep, and all of that comes with the territory. So I have to say that this is the advent of all those things.
So let me check really how decrepit your 40s are going to be,
right.
And we'll do what you're so good at putting other people through, and that's the rapid fire round. We're doing it your way on this show today.
Oh God, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So I can't even say it's my way or the highway. So
yeah,
this
it
way,
is
it's
your
my
way.
It is my
okay.
way.
So the first thing, what was the best gift this birthday?
Actually, the team at Dharma, helmed by a member of my family, Nilufer, who's actually also does the PR for us, Garima, who handles my life, and Puneet, who has been a director of the company, they made me an AV. Of all the people who I love in my life and all my relationships and equations, it was a 30-minute AV just talking about me, and who doesn't like that? So that to me meant a lot.
Okay, so next question, and rapid fire, Karan, means you have to go fast. Yeah.
But this I had to describe to you, unfortunately. I'm really sorry.
Who was the best dressed person at your party? Given that there's so much talk about who was there and what they were wearing.
Oh God, that's a tough one. I think Gauri Khan.
Who was the worst dressed person?
Next question. Look, how do I do this? How can I call them, give a theme like black tie, and then bitch about what they wore? So
because you're Karan Johar, you can do it. If anybody can do it, you can do it.
No. I think anyone who didn't stick to the theme and they know who they are, possibly the worst dressed.
Okay, most stressful moment where this big celebration was concerned.
God, every moment was stressful. The people not receiving invites or the ones I forgot.
Okay.
And then be reminded on the day.
So that was the most stressful. Not the scrutiny that everybody seemed to have. You know, Karan, I have never seen a birthday party get the kind of attention yours did.
Yeah, it was great.
So was the scrutiny the most
stressful? It was my own
part?
Cannes happening all the way in Bandra, Mumbai. It was my own Cannes Film Festival. I always wanted it that way, so I'm happy. I was told that the fashion industry was in a tiz, and I enjoyed every bit of hearing that.
Okay. Biggest achievement in 40 years?
Completing 15 years with my head still on my head.
In the film industry,
yes.
as a filmmaker?
This party marked my 15 years in the film industry much more than my 40 years in this world. I think the 15 years still with my head screwed on tight and my sanity level still up there, I think that speaks a lot, because considering what all happens around me and how people lose the plot so soon, I think I managed pretty well.
Biggest insecurity?
Losing what I have.
Professionally?
Yes, only.
And final question in the rapid fire round, biggest hope, because you painted the 40s to be such a miserable place. So what is your biggest hope?
To find love.
To find love?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's no coffee hamper here, clearly, because it's not your show, it's my show. And though we did the rapid fire, the only thing I can tell you is that you have a standing invitation to be on Beautiful People. That's your gift.
Thank you. This is my hat trick appearance.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. No? So I made it right. So either I'm really interesting or you're just not finding enough guests. One of the two.
I'm not going to answer that. No.
That's my rapid fire, Anuradha. Come on, shoot. Which one?
Pass. No, you know you're a favorite. I'm telling you have a standing invitation.
Thank you.
I've been hearing a couple of things that you've been saying, and like I alluded to the fact that in the past few conversations that we've had, you have said you have sort of been grappling with this milestone, 40th. You know, it is a milestone.
Right.
Really, where has your life brought you? You think when you look at, when you take stock, when you saw that 30-minute AV that you said your colleagues put together for you. What do you make of your life so far?
I feel, unfortunately, Anuradha, we're also cynical about like saying wonderful and emotional things, that when I say them, I almost start feeling that it's going to come across like I'm putting it on, faking it, being extra mushy. But I felt so much gratitude and so much love. I felt that I've left a legacy of, I'm leaving a legacy of love behind. I think I've inherited a great kind of goodwill from my father, and all that's translated into these wonderful equations that surround me today. You can perceive that as being a fence sitter because I don't get into people's problems, or perceive me as somebody who cares for everyone. And genuinely, people I love and whose lives I've touched, I want to continue doing just that. So that's what I feel I've left behind. More than my professional achievement, I think it's my personal achievements, which comes in the form of relationships, is what I'm most proud of. More than just being the host, I think I just felt that all these relationships had fructified into tremendous love for me. And that's what makes me feel the most.
And that's the best part about being alive for 40 years.
I've given the hits, I've given the flops, I've had the ups, I've had the downs, I've met with success, I've seen failure. All that is part of the job profile. But how many of us can proudly say that we've made equations in an otherwise messed up industry?
Two things that you said in the rapid fire and just now that I find interesting. That one is, you said that while it was the celebration for your 40th birthday, it was almost like celebrating 15 years of your professional life.
It was. It definitely was.
And I've been hearing your statements which seem to suggest that you feel your personal life is not, needs attention.
It does.
You need to have, at 40 you needed to have had a personal life which was different. And your last question, the biggest hope was that you would find love. Why is this such a pressure? Is this something that you want yourself, or is this what society says, that at 40 you should have ticked off spouse, children maybe?
No, I mean, those are, of course, I'm not pressurized by any kind of social norms, not by my mother, by any social norms. I'm pressurized by my own self, individually from within. The 20s I dedicated to 3 films. I was an assistant on Dilwale. I made and directed Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. I wrote and directed Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum. I was 29 when Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum released, and when I turned 30, I felt I had done nothing. Nothing personally, but only serviced myself professionally, which is what I wanted. I remember someone asked me that, what would you choose? A personal, amazing personal life, or like tremendous professional success? And without a moment, I just said the latter, professional success. Personal will take over when it has to. Today, I think differently. Then the 30s arrived, and at 32, I lost my father. For me, after that, it was like from a man, which was me, who didn't know how to sign a check, didn't know how to take care of my
grow
funds.
up quickly.
I had to suddenly convert myself into this businessman, which I'm even clearly not today. Thank God for the support system at Dharma that I'm managing well. So the 30s got me into the mode of building my company. With the result, what really took a beating was my personal life. Like, there were lots of friends, lots of fun times with friends, great support system, especially after I lost my father, but there's been no love life. And I can say this, and I've said this to you perhaps before, and it's the honest truth, I've never been in a single relationship. Of course, there's been, at some point in time, there have been like what you know in the frivolous world as a fling perhaps. But, and that's also lasted like, nothing.
Karan,
but
are you looking for true love?
I'm looking for a long
the one
term.
half of the, the half that will make your whole. I mean, do you believe in that kind of love and romance? Because you're a very pragmatic guy at one level.
Look, I don't know if I have the space, Anuradha. The dichotomy is that while I want this, because I think it's what I deserve, I want the love. Now suddenly I'm feeling that from a man who wakes up in the morning, is the master of his day, master of his routine. I do what I want, where I want, how I want. I can run around the place without any questions asked, besides of course my wonderful mother, who still calls me at 10 and says, are you home for dinner? And still when I'm out after 4 AM, because she's a late sleeper, still wants to know why I'm not back home. I mean, which 40-year-old gets that kind of phone call? I still do, and I love her for that. But besides my accountability to her, I'm not used to being accountable to anyone. Within myself, there is this inherent dichotomy that I do want love. I want that special person who I can share my nothings with. That's what I miss, Anuradha. More importantly, it's not the big
intimacy. The intimacy of having.
It's like today, if I woke up in the morning and I said, oh, I feel like eating a macaroon. I'm saying something as stupid like that to you. Now, I want that person who I can say, who do I say this to? If I call a friend and say, I feel like eating a macaroon, they'll think I've lost the bloody
I'm
plot.
busy right now,
Yeah,
can't
so
sync
how
schedules,
can I
yeah.
start talking about your
So you
nothing?
want someone unconditionally who's with you, who gets you and who you
gets
enjoy.
me, who
who's
can
there
who
for
I can
you.
spend time with, go on holidays with, spend downtime with, me time with. I don't have that person in my life. I am fairly alone when it comes to that. So while you can have all the friends in the world, no one can replace a love life.
Yeah. So
Or-
and friends don't become family.
No,
After a
because
point, their
they
families
have
come
their
into
own
their
kids,
picture.
they have
yeah.
their families, their spouses, they have each other, they have their moments. You know, there's just me and mom. So there are these huge pangs of like emptiness that I feel need to be filled. And the dichotomy and the real, the strange part of that statement is that, well, that does happen. I wonder if I'm ready for it. So I don't know.
Would you like to have children? Would you like?
I would love
you like
to
to
have
be a
children.
parent?
I would love to be. I think I have a bursting parent in me that needs to find a platform. I'm great with kids. I love kids. I see them; they make me happy. I've directed millions of them.
You open to the idea of having your own kids or of adopting?
I'm totally open to both. I'm open to adoption. I'm open to midway surrogacy because that's the only way it'll probably. I'm open to every possible way. It depends on how I'll react to it emotionally. I really want to have my, for two reasons. A, because I'm selfish and I want it, because 20 years later I would like to have that somebody who I can own. B, who am I going to leave all this to?
Yeah.
I have to leave, and I have to continue the legacy of what my father created. Right now, the other day, Apurva, who's my CEO and best friend, said, look, you have to make a will, and apart from leaving everything to my mom, which is what would happen right now, but later, down the years later, I would be really having to think who to leave these things to. This company,
I think a
this
lot of
film.
single people who don't have as much wealth as
so
you do
I'm like,
have similar.
where is it going to
similar
go? I can't just put it.
questions,
What do I donate it to? I mean, eventually, of course, charity is a huge and tremendous option, but it would be wonderful to move the legacy
So
of what I
that
created.
is your existential angst today at 40?
Is potential emptiness and loneliness. Unfortunately, and there truly lies this big, as I said, this big internal divide at this glorious black tie bash. Can you imagine that the host is actually going through these emotions also, which is the truth and reality? And let me tell you, I'm happy, I'm hysterically happy about everything that's happening in my life. Love my job, love the industry. I don't
But
think.
there's this one bit
There's
that
this
you
then
feel
never,
you deserve, isn't
you
it?
never get it. Oh, I feel I deserve it in truckloads. Like I feel like there should be, and I feel that I'm putting it out so tremendously because I'm not really religious by nature, but I believe in the power of the universe, and I believe that I'm asking for it every day, and not in a silly secret kind of way, like which is like thoughts become things. I mean, they don't become things, and I hope some of my thoughts never become things because some of my thoughts are rather evil. So I don't want them to become things, but I definitely feel that I'm putting it out there that I need to have a strong love life.
You are owed this by the universe.
I think that this is payback time. I've been good to the world,
Yeah.
good to my job, good to people in my life. I need this back. Come on, where is it?
I get it.
You get it.
I get it. I get it. There's one thing you said that one thing that you think is your achievement is your career and the fact that you've kept your head screwed on in the film industry. I want you to sort of amplify that because you are and you do seem to be tremendously grounded. How do you manage that in an industry which suffers from vanity, deep insecurity, competitiveness, infidelity? It's all over the place. I mean, whatever happens to all of us is magnified in the film industry.
I just want to say that
How do you
all the things that you talked about, I am. I'm vain when I need to be. I'm insecure and complexed all the time about my work. I'm also completely I have the same issues that any vulnerable creative person who are basically all over the industry have. But there's something called goodness is of course a too large a term, or being good or being strong, or those are things that I can't express and I won't be able to amplify that in that particular way. But all I have to say is that when you say you're grounded, is that comes from your inherent sense of your I think your basic upbringing. I think I was taught about how to deal with failure at a very young age from my father, and taught the power of just being supportive to the industry very, very early by my mother and father both. And I think that kind of grounding is what I really am a result of.
So that's what you're crediting
I believe
it
it's
with.
all them and the values they taught me.
Because
my father saw many failed Fridays, many failed Fridays, and only a producer would know of the year what a failed Friday can do to you. It used to be at a time, well, it doesn't happen today in the corporate world, let me tell you, but there was a time that we sold property because we had to kind of make up for losses. We had to cut short holidays because we couldn't afford them. We had to kind of think smaller, you know, in every which way because the money was being lost on movie after movie. Financiers, there were individual financiers, interest loans. I've seen all of that. I've seen my father being invited to a premiere and given really shitty seats. You know, I've seen that happen in front of my eyes.
It's happened and it can happen again.
It can happen to me. It can happen to me in 2 years. You can be wiped off the surface in 2 years. So you have to know that success is a temporary guest in your life. You know, failure might be a permanent one. So you have to prepare yourself and wear yourself that armed steel jacket and be ready. And all you have to do in that is actually really nurture those relationships because selfishly they're all going to help you eventually.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way I look at it.
We've been hearing a lot about Shah Rukh Khan these days, something or the other, you know, one little brawl, one little something, one something else. And none of this is out of the ordinary. All of us in individual situations you know, have the same things happening to us, okay? It's just that we are not Shah Rukh Khan, so it doesn't get seen and it doesn't get magnified, doesn't get seen like this. But I have an observation to make and I'm asking you because you are his closest friend and you go back a long way, it's thicker than, you know, friendship.
Yes.
Why, you know, he was charming and it was like, you know, if I had to make it in the movies, I would be Shah Rukh Khan. You know, he was one of us who made it on his own and got success on his own terms. Where is his charm and his innate ability to just take people along with him gone? Why does he seem like someone who's probably having a meltdown? It's just that he's a film star and it's happening in public. Is that the right way to see this?
Well, I think there's a lot of talk about that surrounds Shah Rukh, and I think that of course
that is always surrounding him.
Always surrounding him. But I think there's this whole perception about, like, you know, this incident or that incident, and I think success is an extremely heavy burden to carry, and Shah Rukh has always carried it very gracefully.
Very gracefully.
There are some times in your life that some incidents possibly drive you to kind of behave in a certain manner. It's happened to every single person. But let me tell you, his stardom, his grace, his inherent sense of humanity, his parenting ability, how he is as a husband to his wife. I know from close quarters, none of that has changed. But one perception leads to another, then that builds up into a mass energy, and then people start justifying every action. What happened recently, maybe he started off, the trigger was that he was being a protective parent, but now people are clubbing 3-4 things up together and making their own opinion about Shah Rukh Khan, and that I don't believe is fair. I mean, at the end of the day, there was a brawl that there was supposedly or allegedly happened with Farah's husband.
Yeah.
But today they're doing a film. That cannot just happen overnight. Obviously, it's a history of a great amount of love between Farah and Shah Rukh that's actually resulted in that. You know, what happened at the stadium, nobody knows the details. Everyone is just conjecturing and talking about it. Maybe all he was doing was wanting to be a protective man to 25 children. Maybe something went wrong, and that's been kind of amplified and magnified. So, I mean, I'm somebody who is going to answer this question with a great amount of love and regard for him.
Yeah,
so I'm possibly the wrong person who's going to give you any kind of a negative perception
but the question is not. But the aim was not to get a negative perception. It was to get your understanding.
My belief that this is a phase and it will pass.
And it has happened to other people.
And it has happened to each and every single movie star. There hasn't been a single movie star, and I won't mention names, who haven't been through that mass perception of
suddenly things are not going right for you. Yeah.
But it's all about the movies, Anuradha. It's all about the movies.
I come back to my earlier question. How come it doesn't happen to you? Because I know you will say I'm not a movie star, I'm a director, but you're a star director. You've somehow managed to become larger than a filmmaker is, Karan. Whether it's your talk show, your clothes, your style, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but Anuradha, I'm also just 40. I mean, who knows, this could happen to me. Of course, I think my personality, I mean, I don't know whether I would be talked about in the same level, in the same magnitude as Shah Rukh Khan, because he's a tremendous legendary movie star.
I know you're not.
But I could go mad. 5 years later, you might not want to have me in your beautiful.
No, then actually couch. I would love to have you.
And say, I don't know. I just feel that the industry, the pressure that comes with it is tremendous. It takes a hell of a lot, and you going on and on about a movie star or movie stars sometimes is just unfair. I mean, I just feel that while we ourselves have PRs and publicists, and we like to have stories about ourselves in the papers, that's one part of it. The other part is that there's just tremendous focus on anything we do and everything we do. Every Friday, ours is the only industry that is judged globally on one morning. It doesn't happen anywhere. You launch a product in a company, whether it's a car or it's a soap or anything else that happens in the world, is not judged on one day by the world, and harshly so. People just have such opinions. Even media is writing anything, which is great because look, I'm a member of the media myself, so I have to say I'm a talk show host, so I speak from both halves. He's a legend. Look at how much
Lay
he's
off for a
contributed.
bit.
Lay off, leave him alone. He's a family man, he's a legend. He's contributed tremendously to this world. There are millions of people who he has made happy. Why can't we just leave him alone till that happiness inherently comes back, which it has to, it will, it already has.
And it's not there
And
right
we
now.
speak today, possibly your interview will be post. I speak right before his potential victory tonight, and I hope when this interview is aired, he's won and happy, because I think that will really, because 5 years he stood tall, right, supporting a team, and I'm sure that today it will all be validated.
That will be the start of the happy phase.
It is
again.
already happy.
Yeah,
He's like, even when people went on and on about Ravan, I have to say that which man would put that kind of money, energies and personal money into creating. Today when I went into his building, he took me a week ago into a 9-story building he has. 4 stories are dedicated to computer graphics. He's raising the bar. Today, any big film that requires that kind of amazing computer graphic, you can only knock on the Red Chili's door for that, nowhere else. He's built, yes, maybe the film didn't create that kind of madness that was expected, but look at what he did in a department where we are so lagging behind.
I get it.
You know?
Lay off for a bit, he's going to be happy again.
And he is. I mean, I just feel to end this, I just feel to say that why deny a man of 20 years of brilliance because of 1 year of what you perceive to be like a little bit of a shaky situation? It's not. He's a living legend, period.
You're going to release a film, your 5th film.
Yes.
Yes, later this year. In that film, you're the biggest star, right?
No, correction. Rishi Kapoor is the biggest star.
Rishi Kapoor is the biggest star.
He heads my cast and he's the
Rishi
biggest movie
Kapoor
star.
is the biggest star, followed by you.
I'm the supporting big star.
You're the supporting big star. How is it working with newcomers?
I had never worked with an actor who didn't know his mark, who didn't know how to take his light, who didn't have to be told anything.
So you had to actually work,
when you get Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan, Saif Ali Khan, Hrithik Roshan in front of your camera, you're like, these are the lines, be happy, be sad.
So you had to work, right, on this
You had to act. I was acting every shot out. I was standing in front. I was being animated. I was running. My heart used to be. I found myself doing this behind the monitor many times. I'm like, please get this take right. It was take 28, and I'm like, get it right, get it right.
Were you enjoying it?
But you know, then I started enjoying it so much, and I loved playing teacher, professor.
Parent, God,
I had become like,
right?
from watching their diet to controlling their regime to kind of knowing what they're up to. And then there's a fine line between being obsessive and being just perfect. And I was like, oh, I hope I'm not sitting on their heads. So I had to kind of back off because I was feeling so much love for all 3 of them that I just felt, that's when I realized that I have a parent in me. Because I suddenly became like this protective parent.
But I think you realized that when you started nurturing all the producers that you have been at such regular
intervals. That started with the
isn't it?
directors. No, let me tell you, first time filmmakers
directors,
like
sorry.
bloody babies,
Yeah.
I want to tell you. There's not one of them that hasn't broken down, literally, and cried in my cabin because budgets are denied or the stars' dates are changing. Each one of them have had meltdowns in my cabin, each and every one of them.
You know, when I look at the filmography ever since you were at the helm of Dharma, 4 films that you've directed and about 9-10 films that you've produced.
Right.
You're a faster, more prolific producer than you're a director, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the producer's hat is something that you wore reluctantly. And yet now you can't take it off because you're
I love
perhaps
it.
a more
Love it.
successful producer than a director.
I love it. Yeah, totally. I love each and everything about creating this young talent, launching directorial talent, living their dreams, making them live their dreams, and feeling really like a proud parent when their films emerge. I don't know, I think I really enjoy that process so much. Like somebody asked me, like, your primary passion. I said, it is secretly directing, but something is telling me that producing is taking over.
Karan Johar, thank you for this wonderful conversation. I hope you find love. I hope you make more films. I hope your friends are happier. I just thank you and wish you all the very, very best.
Thank you very much.
And
thank you for having
invitation.
me. Thank you for having me for the 3rd time round.